Good day, everyone. Today we are going to present our research entitled Electronic Door Lock System for Dormitories in Villa Lourdes Subdivision, Lipa City, with the use of microcontroller and keypad. My name is Richard Philip Calangi, and I will present Chapter 1 of the study. Dormitory Pros and Cons. Dormitories are known to provide housing and communal sleeping quarters for a large number of people. One of the advantages of living in a dormitory is the convenient location between it and the school campus. With this in mind, students should not worry about transportation and not being in class on time. But living in dorms doesn't mean you are free from the possible security threats. This can be seen in numerous news articles about students getting robbed, and another notable article was the multiple student dorm robberies in De La Salipa. Benefits of pin-secured door lock. A pin-secured door lock has higher security than the traditional door lock. The pin-code door security doesn't have cylinder mechanisms like the traditional door locks, which means they cannot be picked or bumped. A pin-code door lock builds confidence for homeowners and dormitory stayers because of its more secure. Another pro of the security door lock are there are no more keys needed for the door. But given these pros, there will be cons at the other end. Some disadvantages present is that the PIN or security code can be picked by hacking, but it's difficult to hack this if you just steal. With this in mind, researchers came up with the idea of an Arduino-based electronic door lock. This would compose of a Arduino Uno, a 4x4 keypad, LCD display with I2C, and a 12-volt door solenoid. An Arduino Uno is a microcontroller based on the ECEmetre 3A. This is the leading choice for a wide range of users around the world because of its versatility and its simple interface. Arduino boards are programmed with the use of Arduino Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. This is a special software compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux running on your system that allows the user to write sketches, which is a synonym for program in Arduino language. In addition to that, the Arduino programming language is based on very simple hardware programming language called processing, which is similar to the C language. Objectives. General. The main objective of this study is to build an electronic door locking system for dormitories in Villa Lourdes Subdivision, Lipa City. The specific objectives for the study are to design an electronic door locking system with the use of an Arduino Uno, keypad, and door solenoid. Next, to program an Arduino Uno, a 4x4 keypad, and door solenoid for the specific use via Arduino IDE. Next, finally, to test the final design through software simulation via Tinkercad. For the significance of the study entails importance that can be beneficial to the following. First, for the community of Villa Lourdes subdivision, the study will mostly benefit them because Villa Lourdes subdivision is a community which is walking distance from De La Salipa and is known for its numerous dormitories and food chains, which with this kind of system, this will hopefully lessen the attempted robberies in this area. Second, for the homeowners of dormitories. The study can be beneficial for these people to consider improving the security and safety of their clients, which are mostly students. In addition to that, implementing this kind of system may use as a selling point to gain more students in choosing their dormitory. Next is for the students. The study will benefit students so that would consider a dormitory where security and safety will be their number one factor. Next, for the researchers. Researchers will gain knowledge of multiple applications of the Arduino and coding. On top of that, the researchers will use this knowledge and implement it for a specific purpose. Next is for future researchers. The study will benefit the future researchers and get possible areas beneficial for the studies in line with this matter, which is the multiple applications of the Arduino Uno. Next is the conceptual framework. The researchers use an input process output framework to show the flow of how this door lock works. This door lock is classified as an electronic door lock, which is keyless and it eliminates the need of bringing a key elsewhere and the potential of losing it anywhere. And since this is locked via a PIN code, this will give the user around 10,000 combinations with a 4-digit code. The main component of this project would be the Arduino Uno, which will handle the process. An Arduino is an open source programmable circuit board that can be integrated into a wide variety of projects, both simple and complex. The input would come from a 4x4 keypad and button. The 4x4 keypad will let the user input the program password, and the button would be as used as an external button or as a unlock button if the user is inside. The output would come from a LCD display with an I2C and a 12-volt solenoid. The LCD display would show a message if the user's inputted code is right or wrong, and the door solenoid would also be programmed to work if the user's input code is a success or a wrong code. The scope and limitations of this study. The study is conducted primarily for the purpose of preventing unauthorized entries for the dormitories of Villa Lourdes subdivision. The proposed door lock will use a PIN code as a mode of security lock. The limitations include, due to the global pandemic, the testing of this door lock by the proponents is limited to software simulation. The delimitations of the study includes the study is delimited to dormitories that have only one door as their access point for the entry of the room. Next, the study is delimited to dormitories who do not have any type of barriers like security guards and gates upon entering the dormitory. It's basically dormitories that have no security, as like when you go to the dormitory, it's just your door. Next is the definition of terms. First, Arduino Uno. This is a microcontroller board based on the ATmega 328P. It is composed of 14 digital input-output pins, 6 analog inputs, a 16 MHz ceramic resonator, USB connection, power jack, ICSP header, and a reset button. Next is door solenoid. A door solenoid is basically electromagnets that are made of a big coil and copper wire with an armature, a slug of metal in the middle, and this is usually powered at 12 volts. Next is the electronic door lock. This involves parts called actuators, which connect the bolt or the cylinder to a small motor completely buried within the door or the frame itself. Next is the 4x4 keypad and button. This has 16 built-in push-button contacts connected to in a row and column lines. Then a microcontroller can scan this line for a button press state. Next is the I2C LCD. This is an easy-to-use display module. It can make a display easier. Using this type of LCD can reduce the difficulty of make so that makers can focus on the core of the work. It is common. This type of LCD is common in Arduino projects. For chapter 2, I will give the floor to Mr. Allen Nario. Allen?
Thank you, Tris. Good day, everyone. I am Nario, and I will discuss the chapter 2. The basis of the principles and related studies used in this project are discussed in this chapter. It consists of theories, principles, studies, and concepts used in some areas to apply in this technology. For the synthesis, next. For the synthesis, it focuses on the advantage of installing electronic door lock system to dormitories. The electronic door lock system consists of various processes before it can be operated. Electronic door lock system involves the use of Arduino Uno that performs the process of the system and a pin used for authentication. Mentioned above, a pin-based authentication will be considered as a primary form of authentication. PIN stands for Personal Identification Number, and it is a security code that verifies such users. Based on the study of keeper security, there are many forms of authentication that can be used by a system like face recognition and fingerprint recognition that are seen in modern devices like example like our mobile phone. But researchers say it is not yet ready to be a primary form of authentication, just like the pin base. In fact, fingerprint and face recognition authentication has its flaws. Based on the study of Nihete and al. A pin-based authentication has a downside too because it is electrically powered. Once the power is out, same goes in the part of the pin-based authentication. The last component is the Arduino Uno. Arduino Uno is the main component of the project. This will be the microcontroller for the electronic door lock system. The study of Louis and Banzi share a common thought on what Arduino Uno has become and how popular it is in the past years. This is one of the reasons why Arduino Uno is the main key component of this project. And chapter 3 will Jerome Ramirez will discuss the chapter 3.
Thank you, Mr. Alenario. And I am Jerome Ramirez, and I'm going to discuss Chapter 3, which is methodology. Chapter 3 involves the research methodology, and this is where methods and procedures will be discussed. The main objective of the research is to prevent unwanted entries in dormitories through building an electronic door lock system. Then again, the researchers use applied research simply because an applied research answers real-world problems. In this such research design, two parts are involved, mainly the planning stage and execution stage. Next slide. So in the planning stage, this is where investigate situations that can be useful for the project. On the other hand, execution stage is where implementation and monitoring of the project takes place. So going back to the planning stage, it is again divided into two parts, which is pre-design stage and design stage. Pre-design stage involves the identification of the problem, determining innovative solutions, and establishing study objectives and collecting information through related literatures. Next is the design stage. Design stage is divided into two parts also, which is the hardware design and software design. Hardware design involves the components, searching of the components, and listing of the components. Software design involves the choosing of programming tools. Next slide. Last part of the applied research system is the execution phase. In this, it is also divided into two. Which is the development stage and staging stage. The development stage are also divided into two parts, which is the hardware development and software development. Hardware development consists of the procedures to physically assemble the project. This would include the connection of the components and the casing design. First is the connection of components. The connection should be inspected in order to not run into issues with effectiveness of the device. This might also lead to potential damage in the components. Cable management should also be considered in order to not damage the wires, but to also allow easy insert and removal of cables when needed. Second is the casing design. The case design will depend on how the components will combine with each other. The main components to be put in the casing are the Arduino Uno, breadboard, the battery, and the relay. Since the LCD display 4x4 keypad will be mounted in the outside part of the door. Development stage is the software development, which involves the codes that will be used for the Arduino. Arduino Uno programming takes place in the software development. First is the code that will be used to utilize the functions of the components. The Arduino Uno will be programmed in the Arduino IDE, which is the Arduino's base programming software. It can be used with the C or C++ language, which means it is easy for anyone to code and modify any project. With that in mind, Arduino software is an open source tool and can be linked with any possible programming language available. So lastly is the testing stage. After the development stage, wherein the hardware and software were configured, testing stage takes place. Testing stage is the most important part to ensure the project's effectiveness. But then again, testing stage was limited to software simulation due to the global pandemic, and it is where testing limitations arise. The researchers found that due to a number of components not available in simulation software like Tinkercad and Proteus, researchers can fully simulate the electronic door lock with all the components in the project. But thus, found in the study of Goswami, Chaudhary, Das et al. On 2017, together with Kumar et al. In 2016, shows that successful implementation of Arduino-based door locking systems. So that's all for chapter 1 to 3. Thank you.